I just finished doing the provincial code of conduct for elected municipal members of municipal governments. So I'd rather err on the side of caution and not say anything than say something I probably shouldn't say. It's an ongoing discussion we're having, and like I said, we're unable to bring it out into the public until everything is decided, and then we will bring it out into open council and put it to a vote. We make no decisions behind closed doors, but discussions sometimes have to be held behind closed doors.
But again, you can tell us about what the general nature is. I know that because the law is very clear that it limits what you can do behind closed doors. More importantly, it limits what you cannot do. But you can go behind closed doors to talk about staff and personnel. But frankly, the inner workings and inner detail of say staff of salaries or working conditions is none of our business, and I understand that. You can go behind closed doors to hire somebody. So obviously, not talking about salaries and that kind of thing. You can go behind closed doors to talk about whether or not you should sell or buy municipal property. And I get the impression that's what this one's about, what you do with town assets.
I can say it's not.
Okay.
And I'm not. I don't think I'm crossing the line there.
No, you're not. You're not.
But we're not allowed to discuss contracts either in open council.
There you go.
There you go. That's about all I can say without putting my foot into it. And I don't want to be accused of breaking the code of conduct.
And you're not. When you say we're going to be talking about a contract, and that's covered by the principles covered by the Municipal Act, so therefore we say, that you're one of those that, the minister says you're allowed to do, so we know you're not doing something nefarious. And there's the bottom line. So, nobody is going to accuse you of letting the cat out of the bag, I'll tell you that.
Well, you've given me a long time to practice at it, Phil.
All right. It's not the only meeting you have. Of course, you also have what they call the Committee of the Whole, and that one still bothers people, the title, I mean. And basically, it's just the council, the whole council is the committee. And it's a committee meeting, not a council meeting. But the whole council is the committee, and committees meet all the time. You can have a committee to deal with, whatever it might be, the fire department, for example. And the committee could meet and discuss all kinds of things, and the committee discussions are not necessarily open to the public. Some are, some aren't, but that's okay. And you use these committee meetings to gather a ton of information. So it's one report after another, and sometimes special presentations. And you've got a couple of those tonight. One from the Cumberland Chamber of Commerce and one from the Cumberland Forestry Advisory Committee. What can you tell us about those?
Well, basically, they've asked to make a presentation to us. So, like I say, they've sent us a report. I think the forestry people, they come in once a year, and I think the Chamber of Commerce comes in about once a year as well, just to keep everybody in the loop. So we know what's going on within the county, even though we're, a town or a township per se. A lot of our people that sort of support the Oxford Foundation are in the county and are involved in these activities. So I think it's just to sort of keep us in the loop.
Now, speaking of that, it's interesting to note that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think that the town of Oxford ever had a Chamber of Commerce or even a Board of Trade. Going back to its oldest days, the Board of Trade was the name. That goes way back into England, and there were a few of them hung on, including one in Parsboro until recently. But there was a Chamber of Commerce / Board of Trade in Parsboro, I think in Spring Hill, certainly in Amherst, I know in Pugwash, and all of those changed to become the Cumberland Chamber of Commerce, all encompassing and covering the entire county. First off, did the town ever have its own chamber?
I know they had a merchants association, which was pretty well the same thing, I think. Like I say, but they didn't run any special programs, but they did have a merchants association. where the merchants would, if somebody was closing their business or retiring or something, they'd get together for a little, the merchants would get together for it. It was more of a social thing than a commercial venture. But I don't know of one in any of the histories I've read. Actually, Mark, being one of the strong members of the Oxford Historical Society, could probably answer that question for you.
Oh, yeah, but I don't want to give him any credit. I want to give it to you.
I don't need credit.
Now,
as kind as it sounds.
Here's an interesting historical fact for you.
Sure.
The Cumberland Forestry Advisory Committee presentation tonight will be made by Ron Furlong. And Ron Furlong was the previous general manager of the Cumberland Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, that's right.
So there's history for you right there.
It's all repeating itself in front of our very eyes.
It does. The Chamber of Commerce, of course, is making a presentation right across the county to all of the councils, making the point that they represent everyone, so that nobody thinks for 1 second that they work for only for Amherst or only for Parsboro and so on, and making the point that there may be something there for the business community within your community as well. So.
Sure.
That's why they do that.
Yep.
Then you then you get to the town reports and all kinds of things, and things like the fire department report and the public works department report. And I notice as well, with regard to the physical activity leaders report, does that mean that the MPAL leader's coming in to put you under your calisthenics?
Well, actually, Marion's out of town this week, but she has jumped ahead with quite the program for just the month of April. We're very impressed with her. So, but I think it's, one of the counselors is doing the report for her. So, everybody's been watching. It seems to be a lot going on with MPAL, so we're quite excited about it.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, you had a difficulty in that area within the town's responsibility for some time, brought about by COVID and then illness and then other things. And but you've always enjoyed finding the right person. That's my perspective.
Yeah, well, I'd like to say she's she's impressed us so far. So let's carry on. We're very happy with her. I've heard no complaints at all. So. Lots of good programming coming this spring and this summer. So,
and
upward and onward, I guess the expression is.
And I'm sitting here on an extra thick cushion on my chair, thinking about physical activity and wondering what happened.
What happened to me? Yeah. Where'd that young fella go?
I used to stand for this program for the first 7 years. Yeah. I stood.
Oh, really?
I had a raised desk. And I stood for the whole time, and when I played the music, I would boogie and bounce and dance and move, and now I just sit here.
I'm just going through that visual image you just gave me.
Any expected or surprises coming up in the town reports?
I don't think there'll be anything tonight. I mean, basically, all the reports are listed on our website. So I don't think, unless there's something that one of us might have missed during the reading through the reports, and sometimes we look for a little clarification on things. So I'm not expecting any surprises tonight. I hope not. Surprises aren't always a good thing. In this business, surprises aren't always welcome. But I don't think there's anything coming down the pipes that we should get too excited about. I know the audit committee's meeting next week. They're trying to get the final budget ready for the 25-26 fiscal year. So be looking forward to that. That'll be interesting to see what's coming up. And I don't know. I don't think Ruth Ann will be giving us a final report on the 24-25 fiscal year yet. So I'll have to wait for that. But what else is going on here? Earth Day's coming up. April 22nd. Yeah, Earth Day.
Oh,
April 22nd.
Yes, Earth Day, yes.
And we're seeing a lot of people getting involved in cleaning up, which is a wonderful thing to see. Make our little town a little prettier. And I think Earth Day is a day that a lot of people get out and pick up some of that trash that's been accumulating and buried under the snow. So we've got high hopes for that, just to make a bit of a difference in our fair town. We're having a bit of a problem with our ball field, Bill. We're trying to keep the four-wheelers and that type of thing out of there because there's always one or two that seem to want to drive them everywhere, especially where they shouldn't be. So we're trying to encourage people to use the marked roads that we've got because we've got access for four-wheelers on our roads now in certain areas. We're trying to encourage people to use that more.
Well, we've had that conversation once before. Your community is poised at the very edge of the Trans-Canada Trail.
That's right.
An absolutely unique and spectacular asset that connects you with Vancouver.
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
And it's all about the off-highway vehicles that use the Trans-Canada Trail. And it has become a huge commercial success in the province of Quebec, in the province of New Brunswick. It continues to have the potential for even greater success in the province of Nova Scotia. And one of the largest beneficiaries of that, if we ever get there, is going to be your town.
That's right. All these small communities along the path will benefit from it. I was talking to somebody, they had just, a while ago, they had done a trip across Newfoundland on four-wheelers, the whole province. And they said it was fantastic. There were a lot of communities there. They were able to bring their four-wheelers in. They get to the motels. They had a grand time. And this is the wave of the future, I think, Bill. So I think we have to embrace it and try to work with it and make the most of it.
Well, frankly, it's not a wave of the future. It's a reality of the past, one that we slept through. Seriously, I remember meeting a man in Truro, and I'm going to take a guess and say it was 20 years ago, and he was telling me about his upcoming trip to Quebec City. And I was thinking, well, that's kind of neat. People that go there, they look at the ice castle and they see the Winterfest and Bonhomme and all the things they do to promote winter. Until he said to me, we've got the snowmobile ready and we're headed out tomorrow. I said, beg your pardon. And it turns out he and a whole group of people were making an annual trek from Truro to Quebec City on snowmobiles.
I believe it.
20 years ago. And of course, the whole aspect of driving off the highway, getting off the road, has been magnified with the Trans-Canada Trail because we get a whole lot more season out of our four-wheelers than you'll ever get out of a snowmobile.
That's true. Well, let's hope so.
So 20 years ago, these people were taking advantage of something that had been largely built by Quebec and New Brunswick to take them all the way to Quebec City, and we're still talking about it.
Yeah, well, I know. Yep.
And then you get a Yahoo or two ripping around your ball field, giving the whole thing a black eye.
That's what happens. So hopefully, we can expand it.
You got that right.
Yep.
Now, we're going to be tuning in with tomorrow with Mark Rushton, so you be on your best behavior tonight, sir. We've got eyes on you.
Well, it's good to have someone watching over you, just to make sure you're staying on the right path. So I welcome the watchers.
You welcome the watcher. Isn't that kind of neat? Appreciate that. Anything else you want to add?
Well, I was going to ask you, I'm hearing from a lot of people about the situation at the hospital in Pugwash. And you got anything you can tell me?
Well, as a matter of fact, the Minister of Natural Resources is on just a minute or two from now, and I have the guns loaded. We're getting all kinds of misinformation from our local MLA. Unfortunately, she's more concerned about keeping her seat, keeping her sympathy vote, and blaming Tim Houston for everything. But there is something sinister happening that I've unearthed, and I want to give the minister a chance to answer that. And if you want to hang tough for a couple of minutes here, he'll be on and we'll talk to him, and you can take part or you can hear that conversation and follow up from there.